The woman who made my life a song turned out to be a cheater! I stared at him, stunned to the core as his words slowly reached me. Are you sure? I mean, is there any chance that there was a mistake? I'm sorry. I really am. I wish things had been different, but I'm absolutely sure. The ride home was an absolute horror. How should you feel when a doctor tells you your life is over? How do I tell my wife? How do I explain it to my kids? And why now? Did God look down on me and say, "You had a good life, George. Things have been going your way, and now it's time for me to throw some garbage into the game"? 1 minute a perfect life, and the next minute it was over. It wasn't fair, it just wasn't fair. My life was like a fairy tale. I was the golden boy, a straight-A student from first grade to my last day of college. I excelled in sports and played 4 sports in high school. I led the soccer team to the first regional title in school history. I had a no-hitter and hit a home run in a game against Jefferson, our crosstown rival, the only time our school beat them. 17 colleges offered me scholarships, and I chose state. The soccer coach looked at me on the first day of practice and said, "You may have been a quarterback in high school, son, but I see you as a receiver." I thought he was crazy, but as a junior I was already leading the conference in catches, yards gained, and touchdowns scored. My junior and senior years I was a top All-American and graduated from college with a 4.0 grade point average. I was selected in the first round of the draft, but I got bored with soccer and went to work for XYZ Corporation and became vice president of marketing in just 6 years. But of all the wonderful things that happened to me, meeting Dorothea was the best. We met in 6th grade when the boys' gym teacher and the girls' gym teacher decided to combine classes and teach their students dance. I was paired with Dorothea, and that started a new relationship that culminated in our wedding 2 years after graduating from college. From the moment I first held Dot in my arms in gym class, I was in love with her. So much so that for the next year I was constantly teased by classmates and friends. Georgie loves Dorothea, and Georgie is partial to Dorothea were words I heard almost every day. Unfortunately, Dorothea didn't feel the same way. She liked me well enough, but she liked many other boys to the same degree. When her parents finally allowed her to date, I was just one of many she went out with. Things changed a bit when I got into sports. Becoming successful also made me more popular, and our school, like most schools, had a class of girls who liked to date and be seen with the athletes of the school. When these girls started to show interest in me, Dorothea started to show interest as well. I found out later, already in college, from one of Dot's close friends that Dot knew I was hers and would be there for her when she was done playing the field. Anyway, when others started paying attention to me, Dot decided she had better get busy before some other girl rekindled my fire and made me forget Dorothea. We started dating and were a couple for almost all of middle school. I say almost because we had all the petty fights that teenagers have and would break up only to get back together a week or 2 later. The main point of contention was sex, or more importantly, the lack of it. All the other guys in my class, at least if their stories were to be believed, had already slept together. If their stories were to be believed, I was the only guy who hadn't been with a girl in our class. I was constantly being bombarded with messages like, "Becky and I went to a coffee shop last night and had sex at my place." Or maybe, "Did you hear about Nancy? She's with 3 guys." Try as I might, all I could get from Dorothea was a few hard tongue strokes on my neck every now and then. I'd get a slap from my hand with her beast, and she'd say, "If you want a cheater, get Sally Murphy," and then wouldn't speak to me for a week. About the 3rd time, I did call Sally Murphy, but that only made it worse. First of all, if Sally was a cheater, she took the 2 dates I had with her off, and secondly, Dorothea didn't talk to me for a month after she found out I was seeing Sally. And when we finally spoke again, we broke up for good. How could you do that to me? It was your idea. You were the one who kept telling me to call Sally. But I didn't really mean it, and you know it. All I know is that I'm tired of being the only male senior in this class who's still single. I'm sorry, George, but I value my body more. I'm not going to have recreational sex just to please someone who thinks it's bad. I promised my mother that I would get into the marriage bed without having boyfriends, and I fully intend to do that. Well, then I guess that puts an end to us. What? Why do you say that? You've already told me that you're not going to get married until you're out of college, and that's almost 5 years away. I'm not the least bit attached to my singleness, and I'm sure I won't wait another 5 years to get rid of it. Then I guess we have nothing more to talk about. She got up and walked away. Okay, I thought. If that's the way you want it, so be it. A month later was the prom, and I took Nancy Bickford with me. Dorothea came to the prom with Sammy Vine, and although I tried to ignore them, every time I looked in their direction, I saw Dorothea looking at me. After graduation, I asked Nancy which of the many parties she wanted to go to, and she said, "The one at the motel we're going to. I hope you plan to have sex with me tonight." Was I going to argue? Nancy was tickled to death when she found out I didn't have girlfriends. "You're my first," she said, "so we're going to do it my way." What does that mean? It means I'm going to teach you how to do it my way. As opposed to when you're told what to do. I got my first night of lovemaking. It was both good and bad. Good because she told all the other girls that I did it and I became very popular. Bad because one of the girls who heard about it was Dorothea. Nancy and I dated for about a month, and then she started dating a guy from college and dumped me. Before Nancy knew it, Sarah had asked me to be her date to some family function, and that same night Sarah had sex with me. She immediately told everyone that Nancy hadn't lied, and a week after that Sammy Vine was bragging about sleeping with Dorothea. After Sarah, there was Betsy, Barb, and Cindy, and I heard that John, Bill, and Mike had slept with Dorothea. It was like a competition. One day, shortly before graduation, I was sitting in a booth at the malt store when Dorothea lowered herself into the seat across from me. "How are you doing?" "Good. You don't call me anymore." "I don't have anything to say." "Come on, George, don't be like that." "Don't talk to me like that. You're the one who lied to me and then got up and walked away from me the last time we talked." "No, I never lied to you." "Oh, no? How about I'm going into the marriage bed with no boyfriends and I'm not getting married until I graduate from college? How about I won't have sex with someone who thinks virginity is a crime? Are you saying that's not a lie? Are you saying that Sammy, John, Bill, and Mike can't count as guys you've had sex with? And I certainly noticed that you had no problem giving Sammy things you wouldn't even think of giving me. Like I said, Dot, I have no reason to call you because we have nothing to say to each other. The summer between graduating high school and going to college was a busy one for me. I worked 2 part-time jobs trying to pay off my car and put some money in my pocket to get into school. I still managed to go out on dates 2 or 3 nights a week. Mostly I went out with girls who wanted to see if what Nancy, Sarah, and a few other girls were saying was true. I didn't see Dorothea at all that summer, but I heard she was putting out a pretty wide swath among the guys. Fall came, I went to college, and life got a little more complicated. I worked part-time at a party, loaded up on 16 credit hours, and played soccer. There were quite a few girls from my former high school and college, so I still had a sex life of sorts. Given the work, the workload, and soccer practice, 1 night a week and 1 day on the weekend was the best I could do. It wasn't much, but still a lot more than some of the other guys. Even though Dorothea was supposed to be attending an in-state university, I hadn't seen her around or heard anything about her or what she was doing. I was curious, but I wasn't going to ask. The last thing I wanted was for someone to say to Dot, "I saw George yesterday and he was asking about you." As it turned out, I needn't have worried. Family problems prevented her from starting the fall semester. She started the spring semester, and I saw her a couple of times in passing, and once when I left class, I found her in the hallway waiting for me. "Can we talk?" "About what?" "About us." "We haven't been, Dot, since the day you said we had nothing more to talk about, and then you got up and left." "I did it to hurt you, George. Not because I particularly liked Sammy. It hurt me terribly when you didn't ask me to prom. And it killed me that you were with Nancy because I knew what the two of you were going to do before the night was over. It was killing me, George, because you were supposed to be mine. But I bit my lip and put up with it because I was waiting for you to do what you were going to do to Nancy, to get rid of your cherry, and then come back to me. Then you got busy with her, and then you went from her to Sarah, and I got angry and said, okay, I'll show him, and let Sammy have sex with me. After that, every time you went off to a new girl, I went off to another guy just to show you and rub your nose in it. So what's this all about, Dot? Can we stop throwing rocks at each other, Georgie? Why don't we try to reconnect? I really didn't know what to say to that. I missed her. I still thought about her almost all the time. She was still the most beautiful girl I'd ever been with. But still, I didn't know. She waited for me to answer, and when I didn't, she said, "What? Why can't you answer me, Georgie? Is it because of the sex? Because Sammy got it and you didn't? Let me tell you something, honey, you got more than that. You lost your game to one of the most experienced girls in school, and from what I hear, you had a very good night. I, on the other hand, and Sammy too for that matter, had a lousy time. It hurt like hell, and I beat his chest so hard trying to get him to stop that he had bruises for a week. Plus, I got blood all over him and the seat of his dad's car, and he got in trouble for that. And add to that the fact that I really didn't like it. Then why did you keep doing it? To see if I could piss you off. You kept having sex with Sammy, John, Bill, and Mike even though you didn't like it? No, it was only with Sammy that I didn't like it. The others were fine. So you liked the sex then? With Mike, it was really good. John, Bill, and a few others were okay, but Sammy sucked. It was strictly bam, bam, and I'll call you tomorrow. So what do you think should happen with us? I have an off-campus apartment, and I want you to move in with me. How can you afford it? My grandmother died and left me a lot of money. That's why I didn't start school until the spring semester. I had family matters to take care of. You want me to move in with you? Yes. And if you say yes, I'll do my best to have blind sex with you and make up for all the time I've missed. She did and has done her best to continue to do so for the past 14 years. This woman spoiled me to death. She pampered me, waited on me hand and foot. My desire was her command and everything like that. Our sex life was incredible. Even after 4 years together and 14 years of marriage, we still made love 5 or 6 times a week. Having 4 children in the house didn't slow down our lives either. Life had been perfect. And now this. I couldn't look Dot in the eye when I came home. One look at my face and she'd know something was wrong. To distract myself, I told her that something bad had happened at work and that I had brought some work home and had to finish it before the next day. Then I went to my room, closed the door, sat at my desk, and stared at the wall. After an hour or 2 of trying to comprehend what the doctor had told me and feeling sorry for myself, I finally snapped out of it. I wasn't a derelict, never had been, and had no intention of becoming one. I pulled out the yellow pages and started looking for doctors. I made a list of half a dozen or so and threw it in my briefcase. I was going to get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and maybe even a dozen opinions. There was no way I was going to settle on one. Having made my list and decided on my next course of action, I left the den and went in search of Dot. If the doctor was right, I might not have many options. She was in the kitchen washing dishes. I grabbed her hand and said, "Woman, I have needs," and dragged her behind me into the bedroom, where I let her drive herself to the pen. 2 weeks later, the jury was in session. 5 different doctors had told me the same thing. It was no longer possible to deny it. There was no way I could hide from it, no way I could avoid it. The only thing left to do was to admit it, sit down with Dorothea, and tell her everything. That was the hardest part of the whole thing. We were so good together. We fit together like a hand in a glove. Everyone said we were the perfect couple and wished we were like us. I took a day off work to sit and talk with Dot while the kids were at school. It was a conversation I didn't want to interrupt. I was having a hard enough time as it was, I didn't need to stop when Alice came into the room saying, "Mommy, Josh hit me." Or maybe it would be Mary. "Mommy, will you help me dress my doll?" Or Kevin wanting me to show him how to lace his glove. I couldn't find the words. I sat there looking at the woman who made my life a song, but I just couldn't bring myself to speak. "What's the matter, Georgie? What's the point of all this? Come on, George. What did you do that was so important that you stayed home just to talk to me?" It was hard, but finally I took a deep breath. 2 weeks ago, the doctor gave me some very bad news. I didn't accept it and went to another doctor to get a second opinion. I didn't believe him either. But after tests were run by 3 other doctors, I had to face the facts. I can't keep denying and hoping it will go away on its own because it doesn't. It's there, it's malignant, and it's eating away at me. "My God, George, what is it, cancer?" "Dorothea, of course. What I have is worse than cancer. Cancer eats away at your body. What I have is infinitely worse, because what I have eats away at my soul. I have an unfaithful wife. When I had my annual physical, they found a spot on my prostate. They ran a whole bunch of tests, and when they came in, the doctor, who was familiar with my athletic background, said it must be hard not having a son to follow in my footsteps. I asked him what he meant, and he said I was infertile. I didn't believe Dot. How can I be infertile when there are 4 children in the house? So I checked with 4 other doctors, and they all told me the same thing. I also got the kids' flu shots and had DNA tests done at the same time. According to Dot's DNA tests, the kids have 4 different fathers, and none of them are me. Care to comment, Dorothea? The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you!